Previously on Guidefitter.
I don't know what just happened, but we had the perfect setup. There's the bear. The moon's still flipping them out?
Yep. It's like a perfect scenario. We got elk down on one side, muleys on this side.
We're about to get stuck. And seeing how this game is played, man.
It's been so long, those long hard days. They don't say God's changed my ways, 'cause I ain't changed my ways.
One of the toughest things to do in bow hunting is to be able to get close enough to get a shot and not get busted. So far, so good. We've gotten into range with very little cover to work with, and I'm just sitting back to see if Bryan can pull this off. For me, right here, this is when it gets really exciting. You're inside the red zone, your heart's pounding out of your chest, but at the same time, there's that stress in the back of your mind. You're worrying about your own movements, but you also have to worry about the actions of your hunter.
A little bit of movement from Bryan to readjust so he could get a clear shot, and he was pegged.
There's times as a guide when you just sit back and you scratch your head. There's so many things that become second nature to us because we're out in the field all the time and we don't even think about it. But what we have to remember is a lot of our clients only get to hunt for maybe 5 days during the year. If Bryan would have got to his knees on that buck, he would have had an open shot.
Got within 60 yards of him. That was a nice little hour to 2 hour stalk on some muleys. Wasn't very big, but would have been my first muley, and I would have been happy with it. Drew down on him, and all I saw was body and bushes.
Even though we were under a full moon, we still got to within 20 yards of a bear. We were 60 yards on a couple mule deer, and we had several close encounters with elk. Now you know what's in the back of my mind? Bryan's brother Steve's coming out in 3 weeks, and we're going to be hunting under the exact same conditions. You ready, man?
Let's go. Let's do it. No other way to ever show you this. Check it out. That right there, buddy, is what it's all about. That's him right there.
Steve killed that 6x6 with me back in '09. He assured me then that he was coming back. He's back, and we're looking for a repeat. As you can see, just like the first week of September, it's snowing again. It's kind of cold. Over here to the north, we have a pile of mule deer on the hill. They're all does. Herd of elk's bedded a mile and a half to the northwest here. We're hoping this weather's going to get them moving early tonight. So we're going to slip out this fence line, set up in the sagebrush. Heard a bugle up here on the backside of this ridge. We're going to bail off the field and we're going to get up here in this timber and see if we can work with them. Well, the elk were back over here like we thought they were. They bugled quite a bit. Unfortunately, they headed north out of here. And they'll probably come down here tonight, but it's going to be pretty dark. So instead of risk getting caught in here, we're going to go ahead and slip out of here early.
It's a good first day for me.
Some hunts, the only excitement you really get has absolutely nothing to do with an animal. Day 2. We've been out here now for 3-4 hours. Seen a lot of mule deer first thing this morning. Haven't seen any elk. We just had some excitement, really our first excitement of the morning, when a piece of barbed wire wrapped around the axle of the truck. What we have is this old corral sitting right on the edge of our alfalfa field along Spring Creek here. And the elk are hanging out in this field real late. There's no way to get in here to get on them. So we're taking advantage of this old corral, this calving barn. And we're gonna spend the night here. And daylight comes in the morning. The elk, if they do what they've been doing, they'll be within a couple hundred yards here. The hunt will either start here or we'll be able to swing up around and get on. This morning turned out to be no good. Best laid plans sometimes don't work out. We couldn't find the elk at all. They've been here for 30 plus days, and this morning, just for whatever reason, they left. We don't know. Pretty sure they went west. I don't know how far. We couldn't find them at all. So in that regard, we're no good. Sometimes when the aggravation and frustration of being a hunting guide sets in, you just have to go look at some new country. Steve, those elk we just looked at, they're about a mile off of where we're going to be. We're headed to a wallow, so they're headed in that direction. They're on public ground. We just had some guys go past us on a side-by-side. The plan for the night, we're going to head down in there and set up around that water hole, that wallow, and they start talking and we can work with them. Great, that's what we're looking for, but if not, we might catch them coming right to that water source. We're headed into one of our most productive spots during the rut, but for some reason, this year's been different. But we're going to head in there and we're going to check it out, because as we all know, elk move around a lot. It's been a frustrating 30 couple days for me. I don't even know what day it is. Day 3 for me. But you get into these spots and just hear what leaves are left rattling, and I don't know. It's a cool feeling, cool place to be. We ended up not seeing an elk here this evening. The wallow hasn't been hit for some time. They just haven't been here. That herd elk we saw was a mile to the south. We never heard anything out of them. I don't know if they come closer or not. But whatever, there's not any fresh sign in here. So I'm not sure what plan we're on now. F, G, H, or I have no idea. But we're gonna have to look for something different in the morning. Tomorrow's another day. You try to stay positive no matter how frustrating it is. And
Get up, try it again.
that's that.
It's been so long, hard days. They don't say.
We are back here where we ended last night at the wallow. After talking to Roy and Doug last night, there was 70 head headed up this direction. They were actually only a couple hundred yards off of our property here. We got in here this morning. We haven't heard anything yet, but we're going to head over here. There's a clearing, and we're just going to sit there for a few hours listening. It's pretty calm and quiet. So if anything starts to bugle, we should be able to hear it. Things have been really different. I don't know how else to describe it, the way the elk are acting. did some bugling, some cow calls, and nothing. Absolutely nothing again.
Well, Lenny, I know you get frustrated as a guide, but you got to understand hunters get frustrated too.
The bottom line is when the animals aren't talking and they're not on your property, there's not a whole lot you can do.
Lenny and Steve are covering a lot of country, hoping to come across a bull that'll respond to the call.
All right, we know this looks boring and mundane, and guess what? It is. But this is real, and this is how it actually happens. So this evening, we got to a high spot here, and basically it was an evening to regroup. The last 3-4 days, things have not panned out, have not been going well, so it was just like step back, use the binoculars, find out what's going on. The hill right here in front of us, there's a little bunch of elk on it. They're headed toward the alfalfa field. That's good news. Across the valley, about 1.5 miles, there's another group of elk that are working towards the alfalfa field as well. So we have 2 days left in this hunt, and basically now we've made the decision. They're here. There's a couple different groups that are broke up, so we have to spend the next 2 days here trying to get something done.
Hopefully we get down there and they answer some calls and we can get on them.
Parked up at one of our lookout spots. We've been walking for probably 20 minutes already. We're still 20 minutes away from shooting light. The elk we know went down this alfalfa field last night. Normally there's 3 ways they can come off of there. We got a pretty steady wind out of the west this morning. This is a deal we never really try because the wind can get real squirrely. But I feel it's our best option for this morning of being able to get on one of these bulls and get one killed. He's out there a little distance. We've just stopped here to finish getting dressed. It's pretty warm. We're going to continue down into this timber. They've already moved way up. A lot further than they should be already this morning, so if this happens, it's going to be pretty quick. Hunting private property generally gives you an advantage because you can control the hunting pressure. The problem with hunting private property is property lines. We were in a lot of situations this year where the elk were right across the fence. They were workable, but we couldn't do nothing about it. These elk got past us here. They moved earlier. Right now, down off the edge of this bluff, we got about 8 mule deer bucks coming up through, so we're switching to those. The elk came up like we thought they were going to do, except they were about 15 minutes too early. They came up past our point of being able to get on them in the dark, and they responded to the calls as far as they answered, but they were already 300 yards past us. They're not coming back. The property line is right here. We didn't have a whole lot to work with. There was a little bull come from 1/4 mile. He come up, and we kind of thought we had a play for him, so we sat tight, which the importance of that is like, hey, what we have to lose? Well, the thing is, I don't know if we got him on film or not, but there was 8 muley bucks coming up this draw, and if we would have moved sooner, we'd have slipped right down, had a pretty good shot at getting on one of them. But we waited and we waited and we waited for this other bull to make sure he wasn't coming. By the time we got through with him, we started to slip down here. The wind changed a little bit. They winded us. They kind of blew it off, kept coming up. And then as we're trying to sneak around the corner, well, I got busted. We're We're back out here where we were this morning. We're heading in along the hayfield, and we're heading right back up to the same spot those elk went up to. We had that encounter there this morning. What we could tell, there's at least 5 bulls in the group, and more than likely they're going to feed back down there tonight. We're going to have to get them up across the property line, but we'll be in front of them and be able to work them better and have a better shot at it than what we did this morning. The elk did what we wanted them to do tonight. As soon as we got there, he was up moving, feeding, and Cal called him, and right off the bat he started coming, and then he went back to feeding. Another bull joined in. They sat down there and shoved and pushed each other around for probably a half hour. As they started coming around the hillside, we went with them, and our last setup right here at dark, I bugled, he'd bugled, we could tell he was right there. He kind of spooked back. We don't know if he got caught up in some barbed wire. There's a bunch of like lava rock there. We heard him in that. We don't know if he tripped up or what, but he didn't come across the fence. Last day, it's my last day guiding here in the 2014 Montana bow season, so it all comes down to this. A good deal of my hunts, they come down to the last day. In the early and middle part of my hunts, I'm very reserved and laid back. If it's not absolutely perfect, I don't push the issue. After all, I want the hunter to really be a part of the hunt, not just the kill. They're still down there, they're starting to string out and move, so we beat them to here anyway for this morning. If we get them coming back up, we have a real good chance. It's the end of the first week of October, and the bulls are going absolutely crazy this morning. But there's one thing going through Steve's head and my own. Will the fence get us again? The elk stayed down the alfalfa field later this morning like we needed them to do. Instead of coming up the gut, which would have gave us a chance to work them, they headed across to the other ridge. Really, we're 15 minutes in the shooting light here, and we're done, and not in a good way. We're down to the wire, the last day, and the pressure's building. But for some reason, I have a feeling that tonight's the night. It's the last day of Steve's hunt. It's the last day of my guiding for bow season here in 2014. We just went up top to check on some elk that we had left this morning. And off in the far southwest corner, there's 2 bulls feeding out. It's a long shot. We gotta get up this hill and get over to them before they want to drop off the front. We are most of the way up. We just seen him. Pretty dang good bull. He's bedded on the other side of this west draw. There's a cow or 2 with him. We're gonna get above him and work over. We got the wind right now. The thermals are gonna change here pretty quick. But he's still here. It's the last 45 minutes, and we know the winds are gonna start getting squirrely with the thermals changing, but this right here, this is what I live for. We got up here like we wanted to. The elk stayed put. And we got right in tight with them and started calling. The big bull bugled at us one time, and he really didn't care after that. So we got aggressive and we just started pushing through here, and we got as far as we could get. And a 5-point. Finally got broadside, and Steve felt comfortable. He let an arrow go. We're not sure. It sounded like it hit, but We couldn't tell. They went down here, and the bull just stood there for a while. We found a little bit of blood, but it wasn't much. So we decided to back out. We were going to go back in the morning. Got permission from the neighbor to cross the fence and go over and look for him. That's what we're doing. Hopefully we get around this draw where the timber starts back and we got a dead bull. We ended up only finding 4 drops of blood. We actually had Robert quit filming to help us look for the bull. But in the end, we knew he was only grazed.
I remember seeing the thing and I was like, man, it seems like it's arching a lot, you know? And then I saw the fletching disappear. Probably just was coming down faster rate than I thought, grazed his belly. Hit the rock. The rock was the noise.
Why didn't you find out like 2 hours ago?
Next time on Guidefitter.
What's happening? Hey, bud.
Brian's back in Montana and plans to hunt a couple of days with his dad.
Kill when you get it. Congrats.
Really appreciate it, bud. A lot of hard work.
Then Lenny gets a chance to do something that he's only gotten to do once in 17 years.
There's 2 more elk halfway down the hill. And my guide just sitting right in front of me. Unbelievable. Taking all the credit. There's 2 more.